What do you think is going to happen to Drag Race now that it's moved to MTV? If you've seen any of my previous videos, you probably know that I've announced that I'm going to move away from talking about Drag Race. And then I saw that they were moving to MTV and I was like, holy shit, a new era of Drag Race is starting and I'm choosing to leave it. That might be a dumb decision. So I've changed my mind. I am going to watch, let's say, the first 3 episodes of season 15, 3 strikes and you're out kind of a deal, because I am expecting there to be a sort of a shift in Drag Race presentation, like it happened between seasons 8 and 9, when Drag Race moved to VH1 from Logo. When Drag Race was on Logo, the budget of the show was not really that big. Obviously, it kept growing from season to season, but it wasn't on the same level as it was, let's say, with season 9. You can see an immediate shift there. However, more money does not necessarily mean a better product. Season 9 did have its good moments where it was similar to Logo, but even in that season we did start to see some seeds being planted for the VH1 era of Drag Race. The overproduction of some people and the obvious top 4 for each season. Competition not mattering as much and fabricated storylines mattering much more. Pandering to the audience instead of respecting your audience and giving them a product that they have to invest in order to be able to follow it, and spectacle for the sake of spectacle, amongst other things, of course. With the move to MTV, I do not know what to expect. The last time I watched something on MTV was probably like 10 years ago when Jersey Shore happened, and I maybe watched like 10 minutes of a single episode, so I'm not a good judge of what could happen or what is going to happen. Regarding the cast of season 15, I think that 16 queens is too much. Too much of something is bad enough, but something's coming over me to make me wonder if too much of nothing is just the stuff. Obviously, I'm not saying this to say that any of the 16 queens that were cast did not deserve to be cast. Anybody that gets cast on Drag Race has something to add onto the show, but the video that you saw at the beginning of this video that Rock'em posted on her Instagram, yeah, that's how I would feel about season 16 if I had to watch it. Though I really do appreciate Kennedy's comment under Rock'em's video. So since I'm not really sure what to expect of season 15, and obviously I don't read spoilers, I never have, never will, I asked my supporters on Patreon what they think of this move, and I'm going to read their answers. Lady Catrice said, "It'll definitely be interesting, that's the only way I can put it. I'm excited about the season, but that's just because everyone is rooting for Sasha and there's a 90% chance she wins. Having seen her off the show, the praise is definitely warranted." The only person that I know that is on the cast is Sasha Colby, because of course a legend of the industry, but I'll talk about Sasha when I read some other comments too. Crimson said, "I feel like 16 is too much. At this point, have a few non-elimination episodes at the beginning. I'm definitely looking forward to Sasha, but I feel like most of them will be quickly forgotten. I hope the season will learn from the past few." I feel like Sasha Colby could get either the Chad Michaels treatment or the Mayhem Miller treatment. Chad Michaels also a legend of the industry, Mayhem Miller too, maybe on a lesser scale than Chad before the show, but this is what I'm thinking. Chad's treatment on season 4 was that they expected her to be great, but they also wanted her to show something more, but overall she was highly respected. Mayhem's treatment on season 10 after 10 years of auditioning for the show was that yes, she was also highly respected, but there were just too many expectations that ultimately ended up being her downfall. With Carrie Colby having been on season 14, I think that they will want to try to push Sasha until the finale. Actually, I'm putting my money on her most probably being in the finale. Does she win the season? Maybe? Max said, "I have a good feeling about this cast. I watched the Meet the Queens videos and it seems to me that the majority of the queens are over the self-producing for the sake of being likable to the kind of fans who are offended by everything, but at the same time complaining about the season being boring. I'm giving this network a shot. Who knows what they're going to do? Best cases, we're getting a season 9. Worst cases, it's season 11 again. I do like the cast. The gimmick queens, despite clearly being gimmicks, are enjoyable to me, and I'm excited that a legend of industry is joining the cast. We did not have that since Chad Michaels. I really hope they change it up a bit. A more expensive network means more capable story producers. Right? Right? Now listen, when I saw this comment from Max, I almost mentioned Derek Barry as a legend of the industry, but I did stop myself, even though Derek is very legendary, don't get me wrong. Now there is a conversation to be had about why legends and veterans of drag either don't want to be on the show or the show does not cast them, like, you know, with Mayhem. Max gave his take on this, saying, "There is a difference between Mayhem, Derek, and Sasha. As you probably know, Mayhem was known for being the queen of the party. She was definitely known and respected by other queens, but she she did not have a legend status, but rather a very famous drag family, if that makes sense. Derek was also well known as the Britney impersonator, but as kinda everyone made clear, not really respected for what she does. Sasha, on the other hand, is known for being a Continental winner and head of a very famous drag house. Her reputation is insanely good. I've heard Alaska and Willow talk about her for years in a way that they usually just talk about a celebrity. I love that that's a compliment to Sasha, but also a read on Alaska and Willow. The last comment, I gotta give a little background behind it. So when I wrote my post on Patreon, I wrote that VH1 and MTV don't have the same parent company, but I was wrong. I might have misread something. So Johnny told me this. MTV, VH1 and Logo are all part of Paramount Global, so it's no change in ownership. It's likely just putting Drag Race under the same publicity machine as the other MTV reality shows. So basically the only thing that changes is the amount of people behind the show, and let's say since MTV is also a cable network, it's more accessible to people, so that might mean that the show will be, let's say, less, I don't want to say less queer, but I think it will be geared more towards the non-queer audiences, if that makes sense, since censors and budget and restraints and everything also comes into play here now. When Drag Race was on a smaller network, being Logo, you could see that it was sort of a passion project for people. They wanted it to be good. On VH1, it just seemed like they were earning a lot more money, so they did not care to work as hard because they knew that they didn't have to. So I don't know what to think of MTV's Drag Race. On the topic of me fucking up, the only Sean also left a comment saying this. MTV, VH1 and Logo all do share the same parent company, Paramount. This does reflect a shift, but it's a demographic shift. MTV has a younger demographic than does VH1. MTV is intended for the 16 to 25 demographic, whereas VH1 is geared towards 25 to 45. So we're likely to see a younger approach to Drag Race. I don't know what that means, but it means something. Also, MTV is probably the most valuable jewel in the Viacom portfolio, so it could signal a slight increase in budget. We're seeing that already in the prize pool. Hopefully we see that increase in the script writing for the god-awful acting challenges. See, I did not know this information about the demographic differences between VH1 and MTV. Seasons 9 through 14 did seem at times very, I don't want to say immature, but not mature enough for the subjects that they were covering. Adding on to that the fact that now MTV allegedly will try to target more the 16 to 25 demographic, I'm afraid that the show is going to become even more juvenile, and that the competition, the storytelling, and just the planning of the seasons is going to be even worse because, let's be real, and this has been proven, the attention span of millennials and the Gen X and any generation that comes after that is lower and lower. Most of the people working behind the scenes on Drag Race are 50 plus years old, some even 60 plus, and they're supposed to construct a show for people that are a third or even a quarter of their age at times. Yeah, I don't think it's going to work out well in the end. There was a part of me that also was wondering if Drag Race Changing Networks now was used for something other than, it's simply changing networks. Like, does it have to do anything with pink washing in a way? Velvet Condom sent me this message like a month ago saying, why does Drag Race keep getting networks that aren't a good fit? With the Logo to VH1 network move, we went from a gay network to a straight, derogatory network. The BBC might as well be TBN, Turf Broadcasting Network, not to be confused with Trinity Broadcasting Network, which is a propaganda network for Christian extremists. Drag Race Holland was made by RTL, an uncaring media conglomerate on par with Comcast. So I added on to that Spain has a network, or had, that was not very queer friendly, even for Spain standards. Essentially, I was wondering if it was the case of pinkwashing. Networks that have, let's say, conservative views, programs, viewers, or executives, or anything like that. But in order to stay in with the times and current neoliberal ideological waves and content, especially in the US and especially coming from Hollywood, these networks buy/order shows that are queer simply by nature. That was my initial thought, but I don't know if MTV has had any relation to anything that was queerphobic or has had any scandals recently that they might want to cover up. But honestly, I don't believe that is the case. But we will see. This is just all speculation on my end. I want to thank all of my supporters on Patreon for supporting me still on there. And also, of course, everybody that left their 2 cents about this change in networks and the future season. But again, I am still wondering, what do you guys think about this change? What do you think of season 15? Do you think that it's going to be a better season than what we have seen for the past couple of years? Do you think that it will be worse? Who are you rooting for? Yeah. Sound off in the comments. Thank you for watching.